Welcome to the 22nd session, where we are using Indian knowledge systems for creating a global well-being curriculum, the new global goal for education. The OECD Learning Compass seeks values from education, evidence of how 4 values of Indian knowledge systems work in society and are created by education is being shared. What is the way an idea gets accepted? Validation. What can validate our earlier sessions? Please take a 5-minute break and write about the nature of well-being that would validate the application of the concepts of Indian knowledge system that we have discussed till now. We are taking the evidence that we had given in the last session further. We had given evidence of the school expanding to a university and how expanding the concept has expanded all over the world, and the ideas of Indian knowledge system inculcated not only by the students but by those exposed to this way of looking at Indian knowledge systems, how the idea has traveled across countries and how many schools are being funded and started and are using the concepts and applying these concepts in their education system. But let's go back to that small hamlet which had 200 residents in 1900s, and there was one of these residents who was from who decided to open the school. Now, around the time the school was opened, so was a general hospital opened there. Now, let's remember that the evidence shared last time was created by just a private individual, a resident. If asked, he revealed that the power of selfless love inculcated in students enabled all the infrastructure. Funds followed without any solicitation, and they continue to do so till date. So let's go back to the concept of IKS. Humans have a body and a mind. The mind has been trained by education. What about the body? To help look after the human body, the same individual, around the time the school was opened a general hospital in the same location, in the same village, or in the same hamlet. It wasn't even a village at that time. Health signified by hospital is a necessary condition for well-being. Education, which provides the essence of life, which is selfless love, is the sufficient condition. And we know that both the necessary and sufficient conditions are needed for us to progress. Now we will look at evidence in health and water, because water is the life-sustaining fluid. We will look at evidence in health and water in this session. Around the time the educational institutions were opened, the general hospital was moved to a larger location. You can see the picture in the frame. A general hospital was set up in Bangalore too. It treats till date 300 to 400 patients every day. It has 80 beds, 3 operation theatres and departments of general medicine, general surgery, pediatrics, ENT, ophthalmology, urology, dentistry, obstetrics and gynecology, orthopedics, plastic surgery and psychiatric, along with lab facilities. A super speciality followed in the hamlet. It has an award-winning architecture. Let's remember that this place, that this photograph that you are seeing, was a hamlet in 1900s. And the hospital, if you look inside, is equipped with the latest equipment in the world. The excellence actualized will take too long to describe. We will just take the example of one department, the cardiothoracic and vascular surgery department, just to illustrate the depth at which excellence goes. Now, this department has 3 fully equipped state-of-art OTs, 1 modular theatre and 2 Thermo 8000 and 1 advanced perfusion system heart-lung machine. It also has vital intraoperative ancillary support using intra-aortic balloon pump etc. for blood-saving procedures. In complex cases for total circulatory arrest, centrifugal pump is used for complex aortic surgeries and pediatric cases. I am not a medical student, so I cannot pronounce these things. And it also has a 20-bed ICU, 30 pre and post-operative ward beds in this department. The department is certified for the DNB program and has nearly 24 publications in international journals. The visiting faculty are all internationally recognized and actively use advanced technology in daily practice. They visit to teach and perform procedures, enabling the department to deliver cutting-edge advances in surgical techniques. The visiting faculty include Chief of Cardiothoracic Surgery at University of Chicago, a professor at Utah University School of Medicine, Director of International Heart Institute, Palm Springs, USA, faculty at Chicago, who is an authority in robotic surgery, faculty member of Oregon Health and Sciences University, USA, adult cardiothoracic surgeon at NSW Hospital, Australia, surgeon at Medical Center in New York, USA, etc. List of the specialties and services includes, and they are listed here: cardiology, cardiothoracic and vascular surgery, radiology, urology, plastic surgery, orthopedics, gastroenterology, ophthalmology, anesthesiology, blood bank, laboratory services, dietary services, nursing, etc. What happened? A neighboring state government, the Karnataka government, requested for a super speciality hospital in Bangalore too. The power of love. Let's see the power of love. 6 million man-hours enabled its construction within 9 months. This is the infrastructure that you see here. An aerial view you are seeing of a over 52-acre hospital. And here the departments include cardiology, cardiac surgery, neurology, neurosurgery, anesthesiology, radiology, lab and blood bank, HMIS, physiotherapy, counseling and telemedicine. The hospital is accredited by a National Board of Exams for postgraduate training in super specialties. 5 batches have cleared, 3 students have got gold medal. So there is DNB in cardiology, DNB in cardiac surgery, DNB in neurosurgery, DNB in anesthesiology and DNB in radiology. And a large number of visiting consultants from within and outside the country help residents learn about latest developments in their fields. A state-of-art video conferencing facility enables residents to interact with experts across the globe. So more details of the Bangalore Super Speciality Hospital are shared. It is a 333 bedded tertiary care hospital shaped K denoting Karuna or compassion. Its website states, and I quote, infrastructure wise, hospital has state of art 1.5 Tesla Siemens MRI scanner, 128 HD 250 GE CT scanner, Siemens cath lab, Philips monoplane cath lab, Medtronic S7 neuro navigation system, 8 fully equipped OTs, automated biochemistry and microbiology analyzers, high-end diagnostic cardiology equipment, full-blown hospital information system, EHIS from Computer Science Corporation and Fuji's PACS system. Over the last 15 years, the hospital has been successful in performing over 21,000 neurosurgeries, 17,000 cardiac surgeries, over 46,000 diagnostic and interventional cardiac catheterizations, and more than 10,40,000 outpatients have received outpatient consultations. The hospital doesn't wait for patients to come. It reaches out to find them too. Here is a visual of the mobile hospital reaching out to the villagers. And here is a visual of telemedicine when they reach out to find the villagers. So here is cardiology at the hospital near the university, cardiology at the Bangalore hospital, and the use of telemedicine. So, does adding goodness to excellence create measurable well-being? Maybe not, but what can be measured is shared here, because there will always be skeptics, so we do not want to make absolute statements, and it is difficult to measure well-being per se. So, the total number of patients in OPDs has been over 51,30,000 or 5.13 million. The total number of diagnostics done exceed 2.6 crores or 26 million. Total outpatients treated every day here is 5,000. The surgeries performed here exceed 3,28,000, including cardiac surgeries, neurosurgeries, etc. The diagnostic tests done here have exceeded 26 lakh. The diagnostic tests done here have exceeded 26.124 million. The total number of villages covered by the mobile hospital are 440. The total free services provided by the mobile hospital till date exceeds 0.8 million. The number of diagnostic tests done by the mobile hospital exceeds 30,000. Cardiac telemedicine services are given to 600 villages every month. A PhD thesis on quality aspects of management of healthcare sector in India researched satisfaction level of inpatients and outpatients as well as the value they receive. It discovered that this was far higher in the super specialty hospital in what was a hamlet in 1900s than in government or even private hospitals, private sector hospitals. The highest quality of service with the highest customer satisfaction is an indication of achieving excellence. How much does treatment cost here? Zero. It is free of cost. What is the saving to patients in rupees? Even if we calculate the saving at the highly subsidized central government health scheme rates, the saving to patients exceeds 2,510 crore of rupees. That is 25,100 million rupees. The savings to patients is over that amount. What may be unique about well-being created here? The trust that runs this hospital offers complete medical care including consultation, diagnosis, comprehensive treatment and follow-up with diet at the primary, secondary and tertiary levels to all patients free of all charges, irrespective of caste, creed, religion or economic status. The United Nations body has given a special status to the trust that is managing these activities. This is a recognition for the humanitarian work being done by the trust. The special consultative status given to the trust allows it to actively engage with ECOSOC and its subsidiary bodies. It also secondly allows it to participate in United Nations programs and coordinate with its secretariat. And thirdly, it has the power to make representations in the fields that it has served over the years. Hospitals restore human health, make the body fit once again. But how to use the body? Education guides us how to use it to protect the health of society. Selfless love is not a strategy of business, but it works more effectively than it. Many alumni of the institute serve management or other positions in hospitals, and they serve also in the private sector. These services provided here are by all those who believe in the idea of selfless love and are committed to practicing it. Many volunteers come from all over the country to provide selfless service on a fortnightly and monthly basis for routine activities that are non-technical in nature. Providing loving care and attention to those in need is the work ethic that pervades here. The way of restoring human health should be in a manner that transforms the heart of the receiver. Giving help in the most caring way when it is needed is the way of selfless love. The power of selfless love used must be demonstrated by those serving here. This is the culture that pervades. All those serving here use the health of their human bodies to serve others and the needy. Awareness of the essence guides their mind on how to use their body. Those exposed to Indian knowledge systems but were not students here have followed this example. Today, 102 schools with 60,000 children are being provided financial assistance to spread the ideals of such service to society among students, while graduates from here serve not only the charitable institutions in this complex but also serve corporates using the same values. A much larger number of people too are inspired by the ideals of Indian knowledge systems and the four shared values here after experiencing transformation within. They undertake lifelong learning and serve society in ways that are unique to their skills. Doctors give free service to patients, etc. They find time to reach out to the weak and needy all over the world. An All India Service Organization serves humanity for the last 60 years. The organization has its main objective, selfless love and service, without any distinction of religion, nationality, race, socio-economic status, either for those who work in the organization or for those who are served by them. Its motto is to transform self to transform the world. One of this organization's activities is medical. We are showing here 3 states in which the activities are done, but these activities are done in every state in India on a very large scale. This organization has 3 wings: education wing, service wing and spiritual wing. And we can see from other states how free labor, Shramdan, is given by volunteers, and they reach out to the needy whenever they need help and wherever they need it. Its international organization, inspired by such ideals, works in 126 countries with 2,000 centers. It has adopted 113 communities globally to participate, as we mentioned earlier in the last session, in long-term care, nurturing, in medical environmental care, service, education, healthcare, youth issues, women's issues and children's issues. This international organization, as we mentioned earlier, has 44 schools following Educare and 33 institutes, 37 schools around the world using Educare. The organization also gives free healthcare delivery in 31 countries without any publicity or soliciting of funds. These activities include medical relief to victims of natural disasters, medical, veterinarian and dental camps, permanent medical and dental clinics, preventive healthcare and public health, rehabilitation programs, mobile medical clinics, etc. So, what are the 3 principles of humanitarian relief followed? In humanitarian relief, this organization follows 3 principles. 1. There is no overhead for services provided, as volunteers use their own resources. Number 2. Services are rendered with love and compassion. And number 3. The volunteers are often the first to reach and the last to leave. In recent humanitarian relief issues, those included those who were hit by 1,000 quakes in Puerto Rico, wildfires in Australia, cyclone in Mora in Sri Lanka, earthquake in Lombok in Indonesia, floods in Kerala, humanitarian crisis in Venezuela, Guatemala, a volcanic eruption, widespread flooding in Kenya, etc. Activities are also undertaken in USA, Virgin Islands, Philippines, Nepal, Haiti, Japan, Fiji, Ecuador, etc. The organization attempts community service activities in as many centers as it has. Personal example in giving service to the needy is the way of IKS. We are showing just an example in one country, a blood donation camp there. Out of 126 countries, free healthcare deliveries in 44 countries, 44 schools and 33 institutes offer free education. So some areas that seek to serve all globally with a feeling of love all. So we are showing visuals of how community service, healthcare and preparing young adults for service is being carried out all over the world. Humanitarian activities all over the world are there in 160 communities adopted in 40 countries in a sustainable manner, where environment, service, education, youth, medical, women and children issues are being looked after by the adoption of communities. People of all faiths, all religions join in 126 countries all over the world in each of the 2000 centers, where the concept of brotherhood of man and fatherhood of God is accepted and followed. So the concept is that the Indian knowledge system prepares us to meet local and regional needs and spread and keeps a global perspective as it spread. This hamlet in South India became a village. So it was a hamlet of less than 200 population in 1900s with the road, and it was a dusty road, and it was part of a district and a region that had seen water scarcity for 150 years. The approach of ancient wisdom, whether using mindfulness or suffusing it to annihilation by selfless love, is to tackle the biggest problem first. Though IKS raises consciousness, it does not ignore physical reality. In fact, evidence of its power to solve physical problems is shared. And a new global curriculum design must be based on ideas whose application is supported by evidence. The evidence of current knowledge system in the last 150 years has shown social pain. Indian knowledge system prepares us to meet local needs, address local problems, immediate problems which concern the physiological needs. So let's look at the problems faced by the district. The district is one of the most arid and backward districts in the state. It had frequent droughts and scanty rainfall. The three rivers Penar, Hagari and Chitravati that flow in the district are non-perennial and remain dry during the summer months. Tanks and rivers run dry for most of the year, and groundwater too is scarce. Even the groundwater that is available is brackish and high in fluoride content. The excessive fluoride in the water was causing fluorosis, leading to widespread skeletal and dental deformations. Thus, the people of the district have for long been suffering due to lack of water even for drinking. The villagers had to trudge long distances in the harsh, unforgiving heat to fetch water for their daily consumption. The hamlet too, which had now become more than a village, too faced many problems. The groundwater table in the three nearby mandals had gone down drastically, and normal depth of bore wells drilled was above 600 feet. Almost all habitations here were affected by excess fluoride in the water, ranging between 2 ppm to 4 ppm as against the safe level of around 1 ppm. This excess fluoride causes severe health hazards like rheumatic arthritis, dental decay, intestinal problems, etc. So where was the first step taken? The dharma of selfless love is to serve others first, yourself last. First, the mother district was served, then a region, 4 states and a metro town of Chennai. The nearby 3 mandalas were served later. So let's look at the history. In 1930s, this the source of all this infrastructure, he was thought to be a private individual. Mastery over the mind made him a master, a mastermind who enabled so much well-being. And what did he address with that mind? The problems of human and economic, phases of the human and economic problem. So he addressed the challenge of how to use a healthy body to find a solution using the mind. So to provide drinking water all over, he decided to lay pipelines. The length of pipelines laid for drinking water projects was 4,296 kilometers. Let's remember that in India, the distance between Kashmir and Kanyakumari by flight is 2,887 kilometers. The distance between Kashmir and Kanyakumari by road is 3,676 kilometers. The length of India's border with its largest neighbor is 4,056 kilometers. The length of India's border with Bangladesh is, I think, 4,000 odd kilometers. This is the fifth longest land border in the world. The length of India's border with its second largest neighbor is 3,323 kilometers. And what was the length of pipelines laid for the drinking water project? 4,296 kilometers to provide drinking water to this district. The first of the project was in a drought-prone area with scanty rain. Here, apart from direct pumping, 3 other schemes were used: infiltration wells, summer storage tanks, and bore wells. You can see the visuals here. The very first project, according to India's best engineering company, was the most complex, and like all subsequent ones, was of the highest standard, and that too completed in record time. So the very first project which they did, the main trunk lines were 750 kilometers, the branch lines were 1550 kilometers, and the overhead service reservoirs, 40,000 to 300,000 liter capacity, were 268, and the ground level service reservoirs, 20,000 to 60,000 liter capacity, were 125. The ground level balancing reservoirs, 100,000 to 1 million liter capacity, were 21. Booster stations were 40. Summer storage tanks spread over 60 acres were 4, and summer storage tanks of 32 acres were 3. Infiltration wells were 13, and bore wells were 250. And the project, what happened after it was completed? It was handed over to the state government. The complete unity of selfless love. That instead of owning it, the trust gives it to the state government to run it. And what does the government do? Then the government issues a postage stamp. And the fifth 5-year plan of India calls it an unparalleled example of private initiative. Let's see how the poorly harnessed Godavari river flows in India. You can see it on the map, how it is crossing many states. So let us take the example of one project out of these many projects. One project, the Godavari district project. This project followed not just the first project but subsequent projects in 2 districts of northwestern part of the state. It was subsequent to the drinking water project for one of the 4-5 top metros of India, the capital of a neighboring state. The Godavari river is one of the great rivers of India. Unlike other rivers in India, its waters have not been harnessed enough. A lot of poor people stay in the East Godavari and West Godavari districts. Though the Godavari river carried plenty of water, people living in these districts often faced drinking water problems. In the East Godavari district, it is full of forests. Tribal people living there are just about 10 to 15 kilometers from the river are facing acute drinking water problem. They depended mostly on bore wells, most of which were drying up due to excessive use of groundwater. Moreover, in some pockets, the borewell water contained harmful chemicals. At some places in East Godavari, tribals drew water from streams, and the natural water from the streams is bacteriologically unsafe. So the first project was the most complex. The major metro project had unique challenges. This one is simple, yet it has an interesting social dimension. So let's look at the East Godavari project visual shown here. As the region was a forest, no trees were to be cut while laying pipes. Sometimes projects in forests are met with reservations from tribals. In this case, the tribals were the happiest with the project and supported it. The complexity was not in the mechanics of the planning, but the interaction with the people and environment. A unique convergence of well-being agenda that addresses all dimensions of the concept. Otherwise, in principle, the scheme was simple. First, it constructed intake wells near the water source. It drew water from Godavari river using pumps and then sent the water to a reservoir. There, the pumped water gets treated and purified. The water is now fit to drink. It is distributed through pipes to the villages. In the villages, local storage tanks exist. From here, water flows to cisterns to which water taps are connected. So, I am giving you a quotation from the report. The lives of the tribals in interior East Godavari district are fully intertwined with forests and seasons. They live on forest produce. They cut the trees on the mountain slopes and cultivate pulses in some cereals, which is generally called Kondapodu cultivation. In the recent times, the government has imposed certain restrictions on the felling of trees and ordered that fruit-yielding trees must be grown on the mountain areas cleared by tribals. They also make thin threads out of the trunk of a tree. So here we are giving you visuals of the tribals, the beneficiaries working on the Godavari bank. So let's look at how the project progressed. The most reputed and experienced contractor in India was chosen to implement the project. The human environment and technology were working in harmony to create well-being. Water from intake wells at collection stations to filtration plants, then pumped and sent through pipes to many storage tanks, from where the water is distributed to villages. Details like sand bedding under pipes were attended to very closely in the first project. This photograph is from that project. Water is taken from assured sources like Tungabhadra canals, etc., the balancing reservoir, Chitravati, and infiltration wells in Penna and Hagari rivers. Intake wells in the East Godavari district cater to the drinking water needs of about 300 villages. West Godavari's water treatment plant is at Hukumpet. So let's go to the metro, Chennai. What was the problem in Chennai? In Chennai, the nature of the problem was different. The canal existed. It was inaugurated in 1983 by the then Prime Minister of India and the Chief Minister of the two states. However, it was a poorly functioning canal, mostly resulting in little or no water to Chennai. To the dismay of the residents of Chennai, of the planned 15 TMC of water, a measly 0.5 TMC of water was all that reached the Pundi reservoir. The reasons were many: evaporation, seepage, and erosion of the canal walls. After a few years, the canal fell into deep disrepair. Chennai has lived with water shortage from the late 19th century. Before this project, some areas went without water supply for 3 days at a time, especially during harsh and humid summers. The city needed about 750 million liters of water per day and made do with just 250 million liters. Long hours for a few liters from community water sumps was the norm in Chennai. Till this project changed everything. The project used latest technology and delivered the highest quality for reliable supply. You can see the excellence that filled the goodness here. How large was the Chennai drinking water project? How long did it take? What work did it involve? You can see in the soil excavation alone was 17 lakh cubic meters. The silt removal was 110,000 cubic meters. The hard rock excavation was 76,000 cubic meters. The stone masonry work was 18,000 cubic meters, etc. The cement concrete lining was 194,000 cubic meters. The cement concrete uniting was 170,000 cubic meters, and the total project cost was 60 million US dollars. How many villages were covered by the drinking water scheme in all projects? 1,621 villages plus Chennai metro city. It is the largest social benefit project undertaken anywhere in the world by a private charitable organization. How many people are benefited by these drinking water schemes? 31.9 lakh people plus city of Chennai with a population of 7 million. To get an idea of what a beneficiary size over 10 million means, the population of New Zealand is about 3.8 million. The population of Belgium is about 10.3 million. The population of Hungary is about 9.8 million. The population of Sweden is about 8.9 million. And the city of Chennai alone has a population of 7 million apart from the other beneficiaries. So what is the total project cost? Rupees 683 crores or rupees 6,830 million. All projects were executed in record time by one of India's top engineering construction conglomerate, L&T. What is its return on investment? What is the cost to the consumer? Zero. For education, healthcare, drinking water, the sense perception route to business models can ask, what is the return on investment? Should we invest in it? It will reject the investment in education because the return is zero. It will reject the investment in healthcare because the return on investment is zero. It will reject the investment in drinking water because the investment return is zero. Wisdom viewed well-being created using a benefit-cost ratio. Anything divided by zero cost becomes infinite. So the education project will be accepted because it is creating infinite well-being. The healthcare project will be accepted because it too, divided by zero cost, gives infinite well-being. And of course, the drinking water project will get accepted because at zero cost, it gives infinite well-being. Implementing the essence of IKS is important. What happened to the ownership of the drinking water project after completion? The drinking water projects covered multiple states. Each state has a different state government. The projects after completion were given to the respective state government. Let's revisit lecture 2, the session 2, once again about the Sehna Vavtu approach. So, what brings a mantra to life? Its application. So, this is what IKS signifies, such a oneness that my problem becomes yours and your problem becomes mine. So, why will this evidence be acceptable? Is the nature of evidence a random activity done once, demonstrating the nature of possibilities of creating well-being? This is not its nature. Instead, the evidence is A. The evidence shows how a step-by-step approach is necessary for creating well-being. B. The first steps are the use of the human body and the discrimination imparted to the human mind. Then the nature of use of the mind is demonstrated. C. The evidence is over 4 decades. It is of activities that are continuing over a prolonged period of time and continue today as verifiable examples of well-being. And D. They may be started by one individual, but they sustain after the master shows that they are not dependent on existence of an individual for sustenance. This is critical evidence. Even after the master has left his body, the evidence continues to function in a sustainable manner. E. There is evidence that it has been replicated outside India, as the drinking water project was replicated in Zambia, as are the schools and institutes. Researchers can find more evidence. F. The well-being idea is being worked on in India and overseas in ever-changing situations to provide relief and contribute according to the need of the situation. For example, currently the food crisis in Africa due to loss of crops by locusts is a focus, and containers of food were being sent. G. The next point. Income is the starting point of indexes for well-being. It may also be the starting point for creating it, some may feel. This evidence disproves that. The initiator was a resident of what was a hamlet in 1900s. This proves that the resolve of well-being in the mind has the power. And H. OECD, the World Economic Forum, now seek to transform character, values, attitudes. Evidence shows it is possible, but this is not something based on theory. It requires practices of Indian knowledge system that lead to human transformation. What are the set of ideas, attitudes and transformative competencies that led to this experience of well-being by society? What was the interpretation of texts of Indian knowledge system that enabled such a transformation? We are using only this interpretation as the referral source for all these sessions of Indian knowledge systems. This course lays a deep emphasis on practice. Every attempt is made to make all the lectures very short. A 5-minute slot at the end of this lecture is being given for silent sitting. This is to enable the participant to mull over what is said. Whatever has been heard should be repeated in the mind so that it gets absorbed. Just as sugar is stirred in a cup of tea or coffee with a spoon, use the spoon of silence to stir the sugar of Indian knowledge systems in your mind. It takes some time for the tea or coffee to become sweet. Patience is very important. The perspectives shared in the course will seem meaningful only if such silent sitting is done to mull over what has been said. Else, the half an hour spent in delivering the lectures will be a waste of time. We welcome you to undertake an inner journey during these 5 minutes. Only then will knowledge that is outside you will become wisdom inside you. The time allocated for this is actually 20 minutes, not 5 minutes. The time should be increased gradually. This is also a time for the mind to take rest. In case it cannot do that, mull over whether the voice of the conscience has guided you at any time in life till now. We accept challenges for the physical body in games. In a gym, we can have a 20 minutes plank challenge. We may exchange challenges on the quantity of food we can eat. Can we go beyond such challenges to the second step of the Indian knowledge systems? Can we see if the mind itself can take rest and maybe stop working? Can we explore what will happen if it becomes zero? Remember, it is not good to challenge the mind. It rebels and makes you do the opposite of what you want it to do. It is far simpler to observe the mind. For doing this, first the physical body should move as little as possible. Observe the mind as it tells the body to move. You are not telling the body to move, the mind is telling the body to move. Observe the mind. Move away from the mind and see what it is forcing the body to do. Watch the mind as if you are sitting on a fan at a distance. When you are at home, Shavasana in yoga is a good posture for this practice. Try to first silence the body, then the mind. For those who have mastered this, they can try the next method. When you think of nothing, can you experience love without giving it a shape of a thing like your favorite food or a thing that you want to own or the physical form of a person? Can it just be love without an emotion to a person or a thing? Can it be love for the sake of love? How do you experience loving yourself? The purpose of this course is to help you discover yourself, that loving being beyond the body and the mind.